Did you all see what we just saw? The courtroom not only disrupted order, but it also disrupted the internet. Cameron, looking arrogant as ever, genuinely laughed aloud in court as Jim Jones's own kid stunned everyone by publicly standing with Chrissy. Yes, Chrissy, the lady at the center of leaked USB drives, courthouse slaps, and whispered betrayals, was Chrissy Mama Jones, who swore was the end of the Dipset dynasty. Now, Jimmy's son has completely turned the story around, making it seem like a VH1 reunion gone nuclear. What does Cameron know? Made him smile as if he had just seen the ending of a soap serial he had secretly created. Second, why is Jim Jones sitting there in startled silence as his family supports the one lady his family has pledged to destroy? Third, what new tape, text, or betrayal is going to surface next? Because we assure you that this is not merely judicial mayhem, but rather a dynasty disintegrating in real time, and the cameras are rolling. Fasten your seatbelts for what transpired inside that courthouse is not merely history, but reality TV treason. Now, let's have a look at this hardwood. It sounds like a love and hip-hop reunion special, not a courtroom, with a court stenographer pounding frantically and heels clicking down the aisle. However, this wasn't just any court day, sir. It was the day that Harlem's hip-hop dynasty broke out. Let's go back a bit. Since Cameron arrived grinning, and Jim Jones' son defended Chrissy as if it were prom night and she had just been elected queen. As we well know, the courtroom has been the setting for a Dipset catastrophe film ever. When Mama Jones went all WWE and opened Chrissy's face and we watched her take out the enigmatic USB stick as if it were her last no card, Cameron was leaking like a savage, and Mama Jones was selling merchandise with her. Fortunately, it was only a slap. But this new development, oh baby, it's a plan. Turn of events that no one anticipated. Since Jim Jones' son, let's name him as the next generation heir to Harlem's hip-hop history, Junior was meant to remain impartial and keep out of the fray as the adults played it out. However, today he entered the courtroom with his head held high and told the judge on record that Chrissy had been the only real one in the room the entire time. And Cam sat back, arms crossed, smirking. Not a smirk, a full-on I knew this was coming, and I brought snacks grin. Let's break this down. According to our anonymous, the judge, who was already over the circus, reluctantly nodded when Junior, who was seated 2 rows behind the defense bench, asked to make a voluntary statement at the pretrial hearing. At that point, Junior turned to face the audience and declared, "I'm not going to keep watching. Everyone disparages the one person who ever stood by my father." One reporter let out a loud gasp and Mama Jones reportedly murmured, "He's brainwashed." Instead of blinking, Chrissy merely cocked her head as if she knew this was going to happen twice. Now, remember that this is the same courtroom where Mama Jones almost threw hands and where Cameron's leaked tape accused Chrissy of being a double agent, supplying information from inside the family. Why would Jim's own son support Chrissy in the courtroom where we believe she was cornered? Let's go into the specifics. According to insiders, Junior and Chrissy had been privately corresponding for weeks before the trial, not about a reconciliation or any harm to their reputation, but regarding safety based on a purportedly leaked communication that was taken from a throwaway WhatsApp discussion. Chrissy was forewarned by Junior that her mother would attempt to use lies to bury her, evidence of the kind of internal betrayal that turns a family dispute into a full-scale civil war. And as if that weren't ugly enough, additional court filings, submitted in the days leading up to the hearing, disclosed that Junior had asked to see Chrissy's USB drive's contents. He didn't want to defend her. Rather, he wanted to confirm what was on it before it was made public. Translation: Junior needed to know which side of the explosion he wanted to be on since he knew the tapes were going to rock Harlem. It turns out Chrissy had receipts, and the USB supposedly contains voice notes from Mama Jones discussing phony real estate transactions using Jim's name and camera video of her delivering envelopes filled with cash to well-known Dipay colleagues and warning Chrissy to bring proof in text threads that imply Cameron knew the slab was coming. Yes, you read correctly. There is conjecture now that Cameron and Chrissy were not adversaries. In his trial statement, Junior accused Mama Jones of dominating Jim's enterprise like a twisted matriarch in a hip-hop version of Game of Thrones, exposing him as the silent accomplices in a lengthy scam. He claimed to have overheard his grandmother, Mama Jones, planning with a VH1 producer to change the plot and portray Chrissy as unstable. They intended to release modified tape and restore Mama's reputation while portraying Chrissy as a villain. The judge apparently left everyone in the room startled and silent, with the exception of Cameron, who sarcastically exclaimed, "Wow, what a crazy world." Even the bafe smiled. Let's talk about the reactions, as the internet did what it always does. Hashtag Team Chrissy became popular once more. Twitter users' Instagram was inundated with memes that claimed that Junior always treated Chrissy like a second mother. One particularly popular video saw Cameron nodding in court with the comment, "When you knew the tapes were heat," and presented popcorn rather than a lawyer, although not everyone found it amusing. A former Dipset manager and well-known Mama Jones admirer called Junior a traitor to the throne in a now-deleted Facebook tirade, accusing Chrissy of manipulating a youngster who still doesn't understand what genuine after the court receded for lunch. Junior was seen leaving with Chrissy, not Jim, not his team, and not even neutral with them. This is where things get even uglier. Loyalty appears like that tirade screenshot is dragged because supporters are divided and the war lines are hardening. Chrissy by her side. Fans are still trying to liper it like it's this Zapruder movie, so I think you did well. One camera captured her talking something to him. Meanwhile, Mama Jones allegedly yelled into her phone as she walked out the back door, telling them everything was a lie. Even TMZ couldn't maintain a representative for Jim Jones, so he eventually gave the media a hazy statement that read, "Jimmy's focus is on peace, not petty. He loves his family and wants the drama to stay off the record." In other words, Jimmy is trembling in his Timberlands because if his kid is supporting Chrissy Cameron, he will be fighting in court and Mama Jones will lose control of the Dipset narrative. This will cause the family business to collapse from the inside out, and Chrissy will stop sobbing. As the court reassembled and the judge ordered everyone back into session, a fresh file was introduced into evidence, a file that Chrissy failed to bring. So even though she is winning tactfully and in heels, we are not even near to the conclusion portion of the USB, and our sources claim that it was directly from Cameron's legal team. Just when you thought the tension in the room was at its lowest, Jim Jones' son moved forward, met the judge's eyes, and uttered the one sentence that made the entire courtroom feel human. Gasps from a pressure cooker. Audible gasps. One of the baifs coughed as if he had choked on his own spit, causing the stenographer to cease her typing for a time. This type of incident is what makes a courtroom go viral. TikTok. In a matter of seconds, you could almost see the steam rising. Mama Jones. She practically grabbed her pearls after taking off her wig, and she yelled something so vile that the woman next to her actually swapped seats. Now, let's take a moment because, as everyone who has followed this Harlem soap opera from the beginning knows, Jim's kid has never. He's stayed neutral and out of the spotlight whenever family conflict made news. But now he's in the spotlight in a courtroom, standing up for the woman his grandmother said was a traitor to the family line. Let's examine what simply occurred. Court transcripts that were leaked in a matter of minutes by an obviously uncool person. Jim's son not only defended Chrissy, but he blamed Mama Jones for orchestrating a smear campaign. He said Chrissy was the one trying to protect Jim from financial ruin, from lawsuits, and from family members using phony LLCs to transfer money. He didn't mention names, but he didn't have to. Everyone in the room turned to look at Mama Jones like a clueless scene, while Cameron sat in the back row looking like he's an A. The man pulled out a bag of peanut M&Ms, put one in his mouth, and gave the most annoying "well damn" anyone has ever heard in unlawful setting while snickering in a box seat at a Broadway play. Not to mention that Cam's leaked audio were the catalyst for this entire courtroom incident. Breakdown, and now he's watching it happen like a villain in a Tyler Perry finale. Is this nasty, yes, or is it strategic? Because right after Jim's son made a statement, guess who slid a manila envelope over the defense table? Chrissy's sister. Arrived ready. Like Olivia. I've kept my mouth shut for years to protect this family, but since the court seems confused about who's betraying whom, let's make it plain, Chrissy said when the judge urged her to elaborate after she presented Pope with receipts. And suddenly there were bank transfers, emails, and invoices supposedly proving that Mama Jones had established a side business using Jim's name and logo without his permission. The worst part was that it was all connected to a warehouse in New Jersey that had made news during a 2019 Daipe affiliate raid. You may recall the stories concerning unregistered real estate enterprises and phantom contracts. Yes, it's the same building, but things get uglier. Chrissy brought more than just paperwork. She also provided an audio clip. If you thought that the recording that was played over the courtroom speaker, akin to a mixtape debut, purportedly recorded a phone call between Mama Jones and a well-known Harlem fixer, in the footage a person remarked, "If Chrissy keeps we don't know if the voice was actually Mama Jones, but the room acted as though it was, with everyone gasping so loudly that you'd think Beyonce had just entered. One woman fainted, and the court summoned a 10-minute hearing. Cameron got up during recess, gave a single clap, and said, "Plot twist." Detectives started voice matching the release tape as #ChrissyVindicated began trending on Twitter and TikTok, while social media was already melting. One genius used waveform analysis to make a thorough breakdown against old reality show clips, coming to the conclusion that, yep, that's Mama Jones, same breathing pattern, same accent, same energy. And where was Jim Jones at the time of all of this? No appearance, no statement, ghost. Merely one Instagram story featuring a burning candle and the words, "Pray for the truth." Back in court, Mama Jones's attorney asked that the tape be excluded because it was unconfirmed, cryptic, gloomy, pointless origins, but the prosecution wouldn't accept it and demanded an examination of Chrissy's USB drive's contents. The judge agreed, and a thorough forensic review was ordered. This is where things get heated outside the courthouse, as a group of Chrissy supporters, the older, louder Mama Jones devotees, armed with folding chairs and printed literature on family treachery on both sides, started collecting homemade posters, t-shirts with her face on them, and even custom foam fingers that read #1UGTR-and-law, you can't make this up across the street, clashed as if it were the versus battle of the decade, forcing police to erect barricades. Amidst the pandemonium, someone played Cameron's old diss track. The court finally had enough and declared that there could be criminal consequences owing to the great public interest. Unrest on social media hearings would now have to take place behind closed doors. Cameras were prohibited, cell phones were seized, and even the court sketch artist was expelled. But it was too late because the entire transcript of Jim's son's statement was made public within hours. The courtroom film was leaked, followed by bootleg audio that was posted on Telegram, YouTube, and any dubious Discord server the internet could locate. Reaction videos were flooding in, with hashtags everywhere, and memes like #TeamChrissy and #TeamMamaJones were spreading more quickly than Twitter subs for Cardi and Nicki. By dusk, Cameron posted on Instagram, saying, "Loyalty over legacy," with a black backdrop and white lettering. There were no tags or captions, just pandemonium and vibrations. Chrissy went live for precisely 24 seconds, without any makeup or filters, and she looked lifeless. "I kept the files, I kept the silence, but I won't keep taking the blame," he said into the camera. And then she logged off. Meanwhile, someone claiming to be a former Dipset tour manager began distributing what they called the Chrissy Chronicles, a series of claims originating in 2013 regarding hush money, manufactured fights, and financial mismanagement. People are consuming it like hot wings during a hurricane, regardless of whether it's true or not. The thing that everyone is now wondering is whether Jim's son is supporting Jim, and Chrissy's own statements imply that he doesn't trust Mama Jones, who is currently in charge of the Jones family's heritage and court. Shut down. The following shocking revelation. Mysterious from outside as there may be, what we've learned from Harlem is this: secrets are seldom kept hidden, especially not when Chrissy has further files in her possession, as well as the fact that that USB wasn't the just one, since it was late that evening, whereas Harlem was